Hello guys! I am so glad you could join me on my first ever Q&A. I basically took all the questions you guys submitted either on Snapchat, Twitter, or on the OnlyFans page or in the Patreon comments, and I put them all together for a quick Q&A to help you guys get to know the real me. Really excited about this. So I've kind of grouped them in ways that I thought made sense. So we'll start with camming to get all the camming questions out of the way. I know that's something a lot of people want to ask me about in my real life as well as off cam, so I think this will be interesting. First question was, what made you want to start camming? This is a combination of things. So at that time I was 20 years old, and I was working 2 jobs, and then on top of that I was go-go dancing on the weekends, and that was all just to make enough money to pay my car payment and the small bills I had at 20 years old. And at first I was not living on my own. This is back when I was living with my mom. So through networking with some of the go-go dancers that I worked with, I was introduced to 2 go-go dancers who both did cam, and I didn't know they did cam, and they weren't very forward about telling me that they cammed, but it kind of started to make sense when they stopped go-go dancing on the weekend, which was great money, like $200 a night, and they had some other source of income. So I kind of put 2 and 2 together, and they finally opened up about it and kind of showed me the ropes, and ever since then I was camming. It was a lot better money, it was a lot safer. I wasn't driving home at 5 a.m. And I excelled at it. I enjoyed it. You know, the first 2 weeks I was online, I did really well. I got up to rank 29, and I didn't even know what that meant at the time. And then I didn't cam again for 2 weeks because I made more money than I was used to making all year. So it was really cool. It was really cool. What surprised you most about camming is the next question. I think what surprised me most is that you get to make real, genuine friendships. Like, I have friends that I've made on cam that I keep in touch with that never go online anymore, and that will text me from time to time and just like see how I am, and they're in relationships or they're getting married, and we can be there for each other and help each other out. And it's really cool because they're far and few between. Not every friendship is a real one, but they do happen, and I've met some of the most genuine, sincere people I know from MFC. So the other question would be, what did you do, for work before webcam? So like I was saying, I was working 2 jobs at the time when I was introduced to camming, and the 2 jobs I worked at a bank part-time doing data entry. I wasn't at the branch, I was in data processing at the corporate center. And then the other job I did was go-go dancing on the weekends. So that was the 2 jobs I had originally when starting. Did I have another job? I always had two or more jobs. Before that, I was working at Steak and Shake part-time, and I was working at Nancy's Pizza part-time, and I would get up at 6 a.m. and open at Steak and Shake until 4 p.m. and then go next door and work 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Nancy's Pizza. So I literally worked all day, every day. And then I got the bank job, and then I was doing just the bank and go-go dancing, and then I found camp. So I've always been very hardworking. If anything, I would say doing cam has made me a little less hardworking, just because you fall into a rhythm and you're like, oh, well, I can, work really hard for that week, and then I don't have to work hard next week. But if you're gonna be good at anything, you have to work hard all the time. And I've come to learn the hard way that webcam is absolutely no different. The only times I've done well consistently on webcam is when I was consistently working online on webcam. That's a lot harder than most people think. So, 1, 2, 3. What was your favorite on-cam moment? This is a tough one because there's so many good ones. I think a moment that really stuck with me and touched me was that back in 2014, I was camming, and a very dear friend of mine got in a terrible car accident, and I was devastated. We didn't know if he was gonna live. He was thrown 100 feet from his car. He was hit head on by a girl that was texting. She jumped the median and hit his car, and we didn't know what was gonna happen. He was heli lifted to the emergency room and doing all these surgeries, and it was an absolute disaster. And I was on cam, and I was drinking and just a little too much wine probably, and I was so upset, and I I told everyone on cam that whatever money we raised that day was gonna go to them to help him with bills and expenses and everything. And so many people tipped so much money that I was just bawling my eyes out. I've never been more filled with gratitude from essentially strangers. I mean, most people on cam just come and they're there in passing. They're not all regulars. But I was so touched by that. That meant the world to me. And that moment has stuck with me for a very long time. Out of all the videos you've done, what is your favorite and why? I think that my favorite video is probably the pool, I think it's pool play video or something like that, where I like stuck into a pool at the place I was staying in Miami and tried to film like a pool video, and some super creepy guy in a Speedo decided to join me in the pool, which was totally not planned and hilarious and terrifying. And I always thought that video was just so funny because you couldn't have planned something more perfect than that scenario. So I think that was my favorite video, just because I'm never able to like recreate cool stuff like that, and that was fucking hilarious. So that was definitely my favorite. Out of all the videos, that's my favorite. Why? Okay. And then any videos you've wanted to do but couldn't. I have 2 videos, a sunset and a rain video, which I know you said not to use these, Tom, but those are the only 2 that I'm really eager to do, because I think the rain video especially is gonna be amazing. Like, I can't wait to get slow motion water, and I'm gonna have help filming that video, so it should be very artistic, which is kind of the route I would like to go more into. So I'm really looking forward to that one. That's kind of the only one I haven't done yet that I really want to do, is that rain video. If you had unlimited resources, what kind of video would you do? I don't know. If I had unlimited resources, I think I would travel a lot more, and I would do really cool videos in really exotic places. I'm a huge fan of JoeyKim.tv. Her videos are absolutely incredible, and she's incredible in her editing and her film work. I envy and look up to her like nobody else. So if I could have unlimited resources and do what I really wanted to do, I would travel the way she does and film in the coolest places, because I'm fascinated by her and what she's doing right now. She deserves every, accolade that comes her way. She's incredible. Let's see, 7. So this brings us to the relationship portion of the Q&A, I suppose. Just one question about my relationships, which I was kind of surprised by. Are you single? And does your significant other know or care about webcam? I am not single. If you watched the first vlog, you know that. Not single. I am newly married as of May 25th, 2018, a few months ago. So I met my husband 3 years ago. I knew him before that, but we started dating 3 years ago. He met me at a fashion show I was doing, and he came up and told me I had bad posture, and I didn't like him after that. And then we became friends through mutual friends, and then when I was moving out of an ex's house and getting out of a really bad relationship, he had helped me move out, and we kind of stayed in touch ever since, and eventually started dating, and now we are married. And does he know about cam? He definitely knows about cam. I'm very forward about webcam. I always had the rule that on the 3rd date with someone that I would tell them I cammed, because it's something that I know isn't for everyone, and I don't want people investing too much time with me or pursuing me without knowing what they're really getting into. And usually the conversation goes something like, I really enjoyed getting to know you. I want to just put all the cards on the table and be upfront, and I would hope that you would do the same for me. But my catch in a relationship is that my main income is being online doing webcam. And then usually they'll follow it up with whatever their catch is. For one of them, it was he had cancer, which trumped my card by a lot. And for others, it's other things. So every relationship I've gone into, I've been very upfront and very forward, because I think that's important. And in return, I think it also is a good conversation to have, because it encourages them in a new relationship to be very forward and upfront with me. So it's actually worked out well. I mean, I haven't had any crazy jealousy issues or control issues. I'm very secure with my job and what I do and the things I'm pursuing, and most of my relationships have understood that. So it really hasn't been as big of an issue as most people might think, believe it or not. Okay, so Other than, oh, and for what does he think about camming, his perspective on it is, you know, you're a beautiful girl, everyone can look at you and enjoy you, and as long as you're not sleeping with anyone else, what do I care? He's very secure in our relationship, and he should be. He has nothing to worry about. So that's 7, so 8. Okay, so speaking of careers, you mentioned that you have 2 careers. Can we ask what they are? So before I moved to Tennessee, I would often say on cam that I have 2 jobs or 2 careers and cam. So what I did up there was that I was a realtor. I currently still hold my real estate license, but I can't use it because I'm now out of state. So I was a realtor, and I also own a marketing company. So again, real estate, I probably won't do that down here. I don't want to have to go through, one, the financial burden of reapplying and retesting and holding my license, because in Illinois it cost me about $2 to $3 grand a year just to hold my license without making a sale or anything. Down here, I believe it's only between $1 and $2 grand a year, but with Tennessee prices on housing being so much less than what it is in Illinois, I don't know that it's going to make sense for me to do real estate here. So I'm kind of just putting that in the back burner since I moved. And then my marketing company, I still do that. That's kind of my day job aside from webcam. But right now, that's the only 2 things that I am actively doing, other than like side streams of income for like the texting that I do on a daily basis, or the clip sites that I sell content on. So yeah, that's my 2 jobs that I had before, aside from cam. You mentioned having a shop on your property. Are you a gearhead? I love cars. I can't stress that enough. I am a car girl. If my husband didn't like cars, we probably wouldn't be together, but he is a car guy, so it works very well. The shop is actually for him more than it's for me. What he does is he buys and sells cars online. He has an auction pass and buys a lot of hit or damaged cars, repairs them and sells them, or buys things that like were flooded or don't have titles or rebuilt or salvaged titles and strips them and sells them for parts online. So that's really what the shop is for. I help him with things on occasion whenever he needs help. I can do like spark plugs and oil changes and brakes and like basic stuff by myself. But for the most part, the shop is his area and his business. So we're kind of restoring or rebuilding the shop for him, and that's why you saw all of those car parts in the house tour inside the brick house. So that's kind of where we're storing things right now, since the shop is not lockable, which we found out the hard way when we got robbed. Okay, what's next here? I know you mentioned getting goats on your property. What other animals will you be getting? So I definitely want goats because we need a lot of help maintaining the property with the amount of grass we have. We have more grass. We have some tree lines and stuff on the property lines, but other than that, we don't have a very wooded lot. So we're definitely getting a ton of goats. I'm thinking 10 about. Other animals, we want guinea hens and chickens because they'll help eat the ticks, and then we can kind of maintain the tick problem that we have here, especially with Wiley running around. And he's actually brought ticks inside already, and we were worried about the cat getting them. So the goats and the hens are a must, and those will be like our first 2 animal purchases, because from all the research I've done, we've been told and informed that they're pretty low maintenance farm animals to start with, because we don't have a lot of experience in this. So as soon as I have the finances together to build them a shelter where they'll be safe and secure at night from other wildlife coming to get them, then we will have goats and guinea hens. Another animal I do want to get down the road is I do want 2 or more, I don't know, don't tell my husband, horses, but and that's going to be, again, when the finances add up. It's not too cost, inhibitive to have horses. It's like $200 a month for a horse. That's the cost to keep them alive and maintain them. But it's not so much the cost that I worry about. It's having a solid stable again and a shelter where they're going to be safe at night to lock them up and put them in. So as soon as I can afford that, and this will be pretty far down the road, we need to get a lot of things and get our ducks in line before we can do that. But I am beyond eager and excited to start loading this place up with wildlife. You guys have no idea. I want to collect every animal my husband will let me keep. So we'll see how that goes. Wish me luck. All right, and then you mentioned that you want to have your family move to Tennessee. How many would that be and who would that be? Good question. So we bought this property on such a whim, it's ridiculous. My husband found it on Zillow. I convinced him to come down like 2 days later. We drove down, then I convinced him we should make an offer. I'm very impulsive. He agreed, so we made an offer. And then we went back and tried to convince everyone else to move down too. And they weren't really into it at first, but when they drove down and saw the property, they fell in love. So my husband's name is Michael. His parents, dad and mom, will be moving down, and they will live in this house, the double wide trailer that was in the house tour, the first house, the one that's finished. And then when they move in here, we will be, see, this is where it gets complicated. Either we'll remodel the brick house if it's feasible, and we'll move in there for the time being. And then while we live there, we'll build our own house on the property. But if it doesn't work out and that house isn't feasible, then before they move into this house, we'll start building our own house, and we'll move in there, and then they'll come down and live in this house. His brother, Michael's brother, my husband's brother, will be coming down and building his house on the property. So him and his wife will join us here at some point in the next couple years. And then after that, I'm hoping that my mom, she wants to like RV around the country when she retires. So after she's done being all young and adventurous, that her and her boyfriend will come down and move and live here as well. So I'm hoping to have both mine and Michael's parents, and then Michael's brother and my sister-in-law for now. I've invited a bunch of friends down. No one has committed, which breaks my heart because I'm trying to build our own little city and no one's playing ball. But maybe they'll change their mind. All right, and the last question I have is, the move was a big milestone for you. What is next? So basically I had mentioned that we're gonna need to do a lot to get this property ready and build. We keep going back and forth about what's next, because when the shop got robbed and we lost like $2,000 worth of my husband's inventory, it became, okay, we need to rebuild the shop. The shop is the most important thing, and we need to rebuild it so it's secure, so we're not losing any more inventory, which is essentially our livelihood, our money. So that was what we wanted to do. And then it became, well, if we're not gonna remodel the brick house, then we really need to build our house, because the sooner we build our house and we get his parents down here, the more help we have, you know, taking care of the property and building the next thing. So I think what we're leaning towards is building our house, our forever home first, and then possibly going back and remodeling the brick house as like a guest house for his brother to come live in while they build their home. I don't know, this is kind of a all moving parts kind of thing. It could change like 50 more times from what I'm telling you right now. But as of right now, we are trying to design and save and get ready to build our forever home, which is really exciting but really terrifying. We won't be able to get any financing for it because I'm already over leveraged on purchasing this property. So I know that we have to pay for everything like as I make money and in steps. So it's gonna be a long process and kind of just scary but exciting, you know, that exciting scary that makes your heart flutter. It's gonna be one of those. So I'm excited to see what it turns out like. I need to figure out what I want. That's the hardest part, because you know I'm a woman and I change my mind every day. But once I figure out what I want and we have somewhere to start from, then I think it'll all be fun and hard work but fun. So that is what is next. So I appreciate all your questions, guys. They were super like intuitive and intelligent and deep, and I appreciate that you care enough to even get to know me on this level. So thank you all. Thank you for watching, and I hope you join me next time on MelRoseTV.